Week 15 in the NFL's got a pretty big one for the Philadelphia Eagles. They host the Las Vegas Raiders. So Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley and company, they will have their hands full with Maxx Crosby, but not quite a lot else on that Raiders roster right now. Brock Bowers, he's got some talent here. We're going to have some fun breaking down this matchup. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you love football content, college, NFL. We've got it here with Blitz with Blender. I'm Josh Blender, making all that college NFL content in the month of December here going forward. College football playoff, NFL playoffs coming up here in a minute. This is the best time of year. You're not going to want to miss any of this stuff as we get headed for what is going to be a pretty huge month of December now with all of these games. And the Eagles, next week, they got a Saturday matchup against the Commanders. This one for the Raiders, clearly the draft positioning seems to be important for them. They may be looking for a quarterback. It's difficult to know where the Raiders' trajectory will be after this season. But this week, they've got a tough matchup on the road. And I think that this stage of the NFL season, you're really just trying to evaluate the talent you have on your roster. These are very valuable snaps and moments for younger players on your team. Guys like Jack Bech, guys like Ashton Jeanty, Deontay Thornton. This Raiders team has shown glimpses with the young talent throughout the year, as well as not so much for some of the veterans on the roster, guys like Geno Smith. And to give him a little bit of defense, the offensive line has been horrible. It's funny to think that three of the worst offensive lines in football are all in the division that has a historically good pass rush. The Broncos, the Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders all are horrendous protecting their quarterbacks. Geno Smith has been sacked countless times this season, and after the Eagles just got after Justin Herbert and sacked him 7 times, that doesn't quite bode well for a Raiders roster right now that has given up this many sacks on the season. Geno Smith, he's been sacked 49 times this year. So guys like Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, there's a little bit of uncertain status so far and currently about Jalen Carter. He was a really big miss against the Chargers. A couple of explosive plays for Amarion Hampton in that game. The game just didn't start out the way that the Eagles wanted. An explosive play to Vidal, the touchdown to Hampton, and then one of the sloppiest but most entertaining first halves of football you'll ever see. There were 3 turnovers on the same play, and the half just ended with a thud. 10-6, a chance to take a 1 point, get 3 points before the half, and Elliott misses the field goal. And then in the second half, they take control of that game. They've got the lead, and then Hurts throws the interception. The Chargers tie it up, and then they've got the ball on the 25-yard line, 2:30, and Hurts underthrows a man to the outside to his left. I was thinking Saquon Barkley, run the football. Instead, they have 2 incomplete passes, attempts to hit A.J. Brown in the end zone for a touchdown. And now I loved the aggressiveness. And A.J. Brown should have caught it. Best throw of maybe the season from Jalen Hurts. And the only drawback to that was, even if you score there, though, Chargers are going to get the ball back with plus 2 minutes in that game. They had 2 timeouts in that spot. So even if you do score, they're going to get the ball back. If you play that a little bit more towards the end of game, kick a game winner, 40-yarder, you probably actually have a higher likelihood to win the game. If you kick a 40-yard field goal with 3 seconds, than being up 7 with 2 minutes left, which is a lot of time for a team to score. So the Eagles played that wrong. I think that Nick Sirianni in late game scenarios this year has been really perplexing. You go back to the Bears loss, and I get it with analytics, sure. It's understandable. You go for 2 there, but no doubt he gets a little bit of attention on that one. What about the Detroit Lions game on Sunday night? They wind up going for it on 4th down. The Lions get a field goal, and then it winds up being a 1-score game. And without that call, the Lions would have gotten the ball back with a chance to tie it at the end of regulation. The Green Bay game, they go for it on 4th down. Also, incomplete pass. The Packers get the ball back at the 35-yard line. If they complete that deep throw to Christian Watson, we're potentially heading to overtime. So the play calling at the end of these games, all on the offensive side of the ball for Nick Sirianni, has been questionable. And then in the overtime, down 3, they got the ball first and goal, not first and goal, but first and 10 at the 18-yard line, and they throw a pass towards the boundary, towards the sideline. I thought for sure Saquon Barkley gets the ball. He'd ran the football well in this game, one of his better games of the season, and it's an interception ball game. And now you're 8-5 and lost 3 in a row, which hasn't happened since the 2023 season, where things fell apart after Philly was 10-1 and they wound up losing to the Buccaneers in that wild card round of the playoffs. So this Philly team, ultra talented, no question about that. When you've got injuries in some key spots and you don't have a Jalen Carter available and Landon Dickerson isn't there for you, he gets banged up in this one. And then Lane Johnson, who's a future Hall of Famer, all-pro, all-world, one of the best to do it, he's not available for you. And his injury probably takes him towards around the start of the playoffs or when he's back. This Philly team hasn't been as strong in the key part of what's been the depth. All the skill players look, and the Cooper DeJeans and the Quinyon Mitchells and the A.J. Browns and Smiths and Barkleys, sure, that's all well and great. But what's been the identity of Philly is tough and very good in the trenches. With the injuries to those key places, you got a team like the Chicago Bears who can run the football down your throats, maintain time of possession, or the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert keeping the ball off and running for a couple of key first downs, getting the ball in field goal range for that game-tying kick to send it to OT, and then what ended up being the game winner, 54-yarder from Cameron Dicker. This is all to say this Philly team is different from years previous, and this team had an ability earlier in the year to find ways to win tight games, and they could do it. What's fascinating to me is they were winning all those games with the lack of production and A.J. Brown and not having big days. And then you look at his game against the Cowboys, his game against the Bears, 2 touchdowns, 130. This game against the Chargers, big games, I'm sorry, I apologize. Big games from A.J. Brown, and they've lost the last 3. It's an interesting little correlation. I'm sure there's not much to it. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league, but the last 3 weeks he's had big games, and they've been losing. So what about early in the year when you're winning all those games and there's this stupid BS drama talk around A.J. Brown, and they're winning? That's the only thing that matters in football. The guy's making $30 million. Who cares? We want to win games. It's not about the me. When you win, it's we, and when you lose, it's me. That's when you're supposed to talk and bring other guys up. Now, for the Raiders, we got on about Philadelphia. We know their situation. Brock Bowers, man, this is one of my favorite players in the league. Won 2 national championships with the Georgia Bulldogs. Probably the best college football tight end in history, and you could easily make an argument he's the best tight end in the NFL already as a second-year player. Look, he's got that talent. Geno Smith, the accuracy issues this year have been concerning. Again, I got to defend him because of the offensive line and how poor it has been, that even when there's a good pocket and it's clean, he's almost expecting that thing to implode in half a second, and it probably will with Philly. Vic Fangio is going to dial it up. His 2 high safeties, cover 2 defense, they're in zone. It'll be tough to hit those underneath zones, and with this offensive line, they're probably going to struggle to run the ball on too high. And if you struggle to run the ball on too high, that is a recipe to lose, and to lose big, especially when you're playing a team that can get pressure with a 4-man rush. So Ashton Jeanty, I'm not expecting a huge day from him. This offense has got to run through Bowers. It's a terrible matchup for the Raiders for the sense that their offensive line is playing one of the better front sevens in the league. And then their quarterback, who's turned the football over a lot this year, is going against a team that typically does not turn it over. The Eagles had 5 turnovers, or I guess 5 turnovers on the day against the Chargers. Unheard of. Jalen Hurts had 2 picks going into that game, and he's got 4 in that one. So hopefully it was just one of those nights for him, and it's not a continuing trend here. I do believe this is a good bounce back spot for the Eagles, and then they'll have the Commanders 2 out of 3 games. You sandwich those 2 Commanders games with a road game at the Buffalo Bills. There is a cushion still. They can lose a game out of the next 4. That could be at Buffalo if it's so be it. If the Cowboys were to lose a game, then you could actually wind up losing 2. Let's say a game against the Commanders, and you only need to win 2. But is that what you want to be? 10-7, Philly hosting a game in the playoffs, and it's going to be a tough team. It'll be a rematch versus Chicago or Green Bay, or it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks potentially, or the Rams, or there's a lot of really good teams in the NFC, and they go into Philadelphia, they'll probably have confidence where the Eagles would be playing really the last 6-7 weeks of the season. So you want to finish strong here. You're 8-5. Why not finish the season 12-5 and be right there in the running for that first round bye? Get yourself a 2 seed and play one of the weaker playoff teams that gets into the picture here. More likely than not, that's the San Francisco 49ers. If I'm the Eagles, I'd probably rather play San Francisco than a team like Detroit again. Maybe Jared Goff in the cold. He probably wouldn't mind that one. The offense has a lot of capabilities, though, being explosive. Chicago, I don't want to see that team again. Green Bay and that defense, probably don't want to see them. Seattle, heck no. The Rams, heck no. Even though you've beat them 3 times in a row. But if you can get a matchup like San Francisco and then potentially coming into your building, that probably happens if you're seeded there. But again, and you're in that 3 seed, you might actually get the 49ers at that 6 spot. So you just need momentum, positive energy. 2 years ago, they had a really good and talented team. After they lost in the Super Bowl at the KC, it just ended so poorly and there was no momentum. And you could just see them stubbing their toe. And that's what they did against Tampa Bay. The locker room was lost, and that was it for Philly. So in this game, I like the Eagles to win it big by quite a large margin. I'll have them winning this game 30-16. Believe that the offense is able to click a little bit, shorter fields from the defense, setting them up with a complete win over the Raiders because of the run game. Saquon Barkley, dominant effort on defense, pressure on Geno Smith. They haven't protected him. Again, 49 sacks on the year in just 13 games. That's about, mathematically about 4 sacks a game. Probably going to have 6 or 7 in this one. Give me the Eagles to cover in this one, even though it's, 12.5 point spread. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, especially if you're new here, for watching this Blitz with Blender video. We're going to keep going strong here towards the end of December as we get towards the holidays and the new year. College football playoff, the NFL playoffs coming up here in about a month. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blender.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.